What's up, everybody? This is Behavior Code Podcast. I have several beasts on, other live audience members. Welcome. You get to enjoy this. We're going to talk. The theme of this show is men are the prize, and it's basically a fact. It's basically a fact, but it transitions through the lifespan of each individual. But when you look at the future, the reproductive age of a female is about 18 to 40, and max. And the reproductive age of a man, I mean, maybe it's not 18 to 40. We'll say 18. I mean, it's really like, 12. Whenever she said, like when she starts menstruating, it's possible. The world record's like 8 or 9. It's ridiculous. So, but let's just say 18 to whatever. And then guys, your reproductive age is going to be 18 to 70s if you're healthy. So she has the second half of her life where she's not useful in the biological sense. Now, she could be a productive member of the society. Interesting how productive is part of reproductive. She's supposed to be a reproductive, to reproduce another human, another man, because that's what she was designed to do. But she could be a productive member of society. And then she has things will change for her around the age of 40, internally, emotionally, chemically, and psychologically. She'll see her friends, and she has the latter half of her life. She's going to live longer than guys, and she has the latter half of her life to look forward to that kind of emotional that can never be cured, really, that itch, unless she has certain lines of information like what we talk about here. And so she can go ahead and continue being a productive member of society forever and ever and ever. And we'll see how that, she'll probably end up voting socialist liberal because she needs something from a man, and she'll get it from the state if she can't get a man to give it to her. That's how she'll vote. So it's unfortunate. That's kind of what feminism does. Feminism split the family and made the woman just very independent like that. But then she's going to turn into a victim the latter half of her life, always fearing being mugged and robbed and not having a protector and not having a family either. And maybe she makes a family, but it's going to be weak and break because the man's going to be weak because no man wants that. So not a real man, like he'll be a weaker man. So men become the prize. Find a strong man. Like one of my female clients is asking me about all the women she's going to coach, and they're all so anxious about their business and money and this and that. And the truth is that the anxiety is that they don't have a man. When they have a man, they're less anxious. And you know that you're putting yourself out there in that business is this mindset for suffering. You guys are going to, it's just not going to work well. So I want to hear other people's perspectives. So when men are the prize, their value keeps rising and has the possibility of mushrooming like a mushroom cloud, an explosion. That's possible for a guy. It's possible for a girl. She could get stardom and fame and stuff like that. Be a celebrity of some politician to whatever level she can get to, some kind of athlete, wherever that gets her. It's not going to be the same. And it doesn't really bring, in her view, a plethora of high value mating opportunities. It will expose her to higher echelon and richer, but as far as mating choices, good men, a good man to have, does it? Yeah, sure, a little bit. It's not the same as for a guy because his mushroom of value could attract his strategy, which is just infinite beautiful women. That's what he would go for if he could. And if he had ultimate power, he could. And that's what we see every king ever do, except the kings that got whipped by Christianity or whatever, or turned into pedophiles or really murdered their wives so they can marry a new wife. And they all had concubines. I don't know what you're talking about. So that's the man's nature when he gets to that power. The woman's nature, should she be a matriarch, is to lose that kingdom because that's not going to go very well, or become the spouse to a king. And then what does a queen behave like? So you could try to shift that, king, queen paradigm, but that's going to be like really trying to move all of human nature. And, rather I just tap into the code. Men are the prize. You want to choose the man that goes up within your range. That's what the man's doing. He's choosing the woman in his range. You cross paths with a woman that's out of your league, and then where's your ambition at as a man? You have the ability to come up in value and get that, even being an other ugly motherfucker. But a woman, can she go up and get the 10 as a guy? Maybe we're tapping that science too. I think if it's possible for a guy, it's probably possible for the girl too. It's just not going to look the same. And it's going to look more and more different as we go up in level, in value. That's what's so cool. Wow, that's really cool. Miguel Omar gets that. And okay, so we got some live audience too. I want to open it up. That was big, big opener. If anybody wants to unmute on Zoom, any of the guys, or on Clubhouse, I'll give it a second, and then I got more. But I don't want to just lecture, but I could. But really, whatever you want to say. I just don't like the long pauses. We got Instagram comment, as opposed to, are you a woman, Mina? I think you're the realtor chick that follows Brian. She's not on anymore. Let's see what she said. LOL. As opposed to what? Men can't give birth. That's right. Men can't give birth. That's why ladies have your backup plan always in place. So you can also support yourself in case one of these cavemen leave you for a younger woman. Why would a man ever leave you? Why would a man leave you? That's what women do. I wish he was still on just to hear that. What a dumbass. That's going to be a miserable, middle-aged, liberal voting socialist woman. It's pathetic. That's what women do. See, you've only interacted with feminine men who can't tell the truth and don't have the balls to try to organize multiple relationships because it's too much hassle. That's so pathetic. Anytime I hear a fucking man say, I wouldn't want that because it's too much trouble. Dude, what are you doing in life? Are you some $1 billion industry? I get it. If you're like going up in the world like that and that's your focus, I think it's a little off, but you probably think I'm a little off. So fair. But if you got to be excelling in life, if you're not doing that, then what are you doing? It's not that my relationships are that. There's something underlying my beingness in relating to women. The code of how men and women are behaving on the face of earth is miserable for most people. It's not for me. Let's see. What does she say? Also, don't have babies with effeminate men. True. There, that's true. You don't, but that's very, first of all, she wants to have a baby. Second of all, if he's a good provider, she'll still do that and then have eyes for another and cheat on him. Probably wasn't even his in the first place anyway. And, to tell women not to do that, yeah, I guess if you can wed up with a beta male and not have his kids, and the more you can whip him down into shape, I mean, you could do whatever you want, but you're not going to have high self-esteem, and you're not going to get a loyal exchange from a powerful man because he won't have that. If you're high value, you're going to cut off all those guys. And then you're really not going to have anybody that has your back that's really strong and committed. Because if all the 5 guys here at this house, if we had a really dope ass bicycle, but it was like the houses, we all chipped in for it, we'd kind of take care of it in the beginning, but eventually we'd start griping about how the other person's not taking good enough care of it. And then we'd start to neglect it or abandon it, not want to use it, or it's not going to be the same as if you have a dope bicycle that's yours. You'll take better care of it and more responsibility for it. So our women aren't a possession. Well, in nature they are. So you're trying to convince me of something that I didn't need convincing of. So, I mean, we could talk about that, but she's not fucking here. So, Raul, I know you had something, or if anybody had something, feel free to unmute. Mr. Oracle. Oh, he doesn't. Oh, you're reaching. I thought you were reaching for something. He's just writing underneath the phone. Got it. Miracle. We got Oracle, Miracle, and Lamore. Nah, body.
Yes, I'd like to add something, but before that, I'm driving right now. Can you guys hear like a background noise in the back?
You sound a little distant, but I don't hear the driving.
Okay, all right, so I should be able to talk then.
Yeah, if you could talk loud too.
I was thinking today, so as I was driving today, I was really, really thinking about this, which is what makes a male a man, not what makes a man, because we all know there are some males that are not males, straight up. Now, I was thinking, what characteristics that we as males have that makes us a man? What kind of rites of passage that we have to go through to really, really, to prove not to anybody else, but to ourselves. Now, I was thinking, it's as a man, you
you have to have your principles in check. You have to have your your vision in check, your principles, your character has to be on point, because I think that's the only time when you won't succumb to the manipulation of the female. Because I think any man that falls under the spell of the female, the way it's being done right now in our society, those males are not. I can't call them men, because they're attached to the pussy, seriously, and they will do anything just because they think they're getting some pussy that's consistent. They think that they're being dominant in the relationship, or they're being the man in the relationship. That is not necessarily true, because I fell under that trap myself. And when I was really contemplating, because I had that same mindset very recently, and I was really thinking about it, I was like, man, I nearly gave up my manhood, while still thinking that I was being the man just because I was fucking some chick. And so I think I just wanted to clarify that real quick, and obviously men are the prize. That's why the female go for it. But I think she would go for the man. The prize, the real prize, is the man that has his character in check, that has his that won't compromise for her, like his manhood, that won't give up his manhood for her. So I was really thinking about that today, and I think as a man, we have to get stronger and have everything in check, so we won't fall prey to the female manipulations that's going on in the world right now, in this society. I just want.
Yeah, right on. And I'd like to add to that the character, she's going through a life cycle that she's going to change a lot. You're not going to actually change that much until towards the end as a guy. You're still going to like the young, beautiful woman. She'll have different preferences when she's young and hot, and after she has a kid, or if she doesn't have a kid and menopause, like she's going to go through a change that's way different. And so your character needs to be cool in the time and context where you're found, and needs to have that adaptability where it keeps being cool with the times. And to know that you're the prize for sure is to have that long-term code of ethics, brotherhood, loyalty, honor, honesty, truth, trustworthiness, aggressiveness, but contained or checked. You check, self-checked. Ownership and pride and self-esteem. And so there's you trigger the provider and the seducer in her. That's the, and then that you can keep doing that. Right? So you live organically, you evolve, you grow. You're so single-minded on your purpose, and then the girl comes along and you get pulled off, but then that gives you some new skills. You want her, and you don't know how to get her to do what you want. So you figure it out, and the frustrations along the way. And then, but you stay cool. You got that character that gives her status, that makes her look up to you in a social value. And then you got that long-term survival value. And man, what's so cool about these camps, like the last camp and especially this next camp, Code Dracula, is there's a body language and there's a code of movement, especially the guys that go out to the VIP Spearmint Rhino. You're going to see a body language, and it's going to change you, because you're not going to have seen how that opens people. The body, there's a code that when people register in the periphery or in their focus, it affects them, but no one ever taught this. Maybe no one ever really knew it, because he comes from a position with a lot of eyes on him and a lot of high value eyes on him, and doing it intentionally. The value is what he's doing, versus having a lot of high value eyes on him because his value is to make music, or he's a rock star, or his value is he's a movie star, his value is a politician. But that means his value is when he goes and he's in the political arena, or he's on the theater, or he's at the the football stadium. It's his value is somewhere else, versus the value is right where he is, like a spiritual leader, like Eckhart Tolle or Sadhguru. Like the value is where he emanates from. But this value is not how to have a mass following of sheep that try to resolve their pain body. This is guys that alpha up and handle their situation and their environment, because alpha men are the enemy of communism. It's a population of alpha men that make a successful capitalism. It's the alpha in everybody that makes capitalism work. And it's the beta in everybody that votes for socialism. But socialism is very damaging to the family and children, which is what her purpose is about. So she should be about the prize, which is getting with a man. Otherwise, she's going to be that single woman that's pro alpha men, pro masculinity, pro right leaning, but she herself has, I don't know. I kind of pity that woman. I feel bad for her. Men are the prize, but that's what we're doing. We're leading the way. We in IMC Nation are leading the way, because it's really, there's going to be a shift. There's going to be a shift. I had a vision today of in the future that this would be very esoteric, these ways of relating. The relationships of the world are going to actually continue. We think that we shouldn't give out the information because, well, pretty soon everyone's going to adopt this way of thinking, and then we're not going to have the advantage or the edge. The reality is that the momentum of the world, everybody's going to go further and further and further the other way. It's not going to change. The culture won't change before you and I die. So we become increasingly separated from that, and it's our own sect. It's our own culture internally, which will try to be infiltrated by the enemy and by women seeking refuge that want proper relationships, because the world offers a plethora of beta men and lesbianism and transgenderism. That's what they can do with that. Or they can get with an alpha man, but that's going to be reserved information, because what you do is you'll take it out of context and go back and get the force of the state to come and shut us down. Suppress my masculinity through the threat of force of other beta men with guns. So there need to be a filter system that we're already seeing AZD do with girls, that you can't join unless this or that, because it's taken advantage of, and then it's misconstrued and taken out of context. The only saving grace is to be actively seducing any female student, because that is the protection against what she may say afterwards with what you have said. The protection is what she has said to you in text via seducing her. That's the model. So that means you got to actually be about what you're doing. But then this is how men become the prize. This is the prize. The prize is understanding the woman. What she values almost the most is the man who understands her. And then with understanding, it comes strategy. If you understand anything, you start to develop a strategy. You're a man, so you want to win. And that becomes a value that, my thoughts, my ideas, when I die, they go with me unless I transmit them. Someone else has to recreate them for themselves, rediscover them for themselves, unless I could teach it to somebody. So it just disappears. The architectural drawing of the most amazing monument, or the design of a rap song, or of you could maybe have it memorized inside, but if you float but if you lose the paper, you got to make it again. Guys are afraid of this information, but it's a reality. Men are the prize. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add to this? We got a bunch of warrior beast monks on.
Hey, brother. How are you?
Raul Oracle. I feel amazing.
You look amazing. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Well, first first and foremost, thank you for providing the platform and the opportunity for us to share everything that we're learning from the master of masters, AZD, right?
Yeah, I like hearing about it.
Now, yeah, man. Regarding this topic here, I'm a firm believer in freedom. Freedom is one of the values that I hold the highest. I personally don't like to judge people that are socialists. If they want to be socialist, then that's their choice, right? However, it does affect our way of life. Therefore, we have to put ourselves out there so that we're letting the world know that there is another option, that there is something, another mindset that you can have to live differently from a socialist mindset. With that being said, I like to speak from personal experience.
Yeah.
And something that stuck out to me that you mentioned was, as a man, you have a choice. And I also agree with Rick in the fact that, a lot of men out here, they just don't know how to be men, plain and simple. They just don't have access to the information that we have. And they've been completely brainwashed. I always look at society as a complete indoctrinated mind, like a collective mind. Because if it wasn't influenced by an outside force, nature would take its course. And the way nature is set, I think we would have evolved with this mindset that we adopt here at IMC, right? So with that being said, from my personal experience as a man, I'm sure I still have a lot of things that I need to work on and improve. But just from my personal experience, I can tell you that leading a woman is the only way to really exercise your full ability as a man. You mentioned earlier that a lot of men could use the excuse that if you have multiple relationships, that could be a lot of trouble. And that could be true. But it's also just an excuse, right? It's just an excuse, in my opinion. And I say that because, I'm a businessman. I'm very, very busy. So having a multiple relationship for me is time consuming.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of history about myself. Yeah, a little bit of history about myself. I got married before adopting this new way of thinking.
Brother,
and I say new because it's new to me.
I'd like to tell you in the evolution of desire, when they studied like 400 or something CEOs and highly affluential people, they found that it was a substantial portion. They didn't report the number, but the words they used, it made it seem like it was between like 30 and 70% had second families that didn't know about the first families.
Exactly. And
those are the busiest guys.
Yeah, exactly. My father was one of them. He was a very busy businessman, and he had plenty of relationships, just about anywhere and everywhere.
Oh man!
So I know I have a good DNA when it comes to that. So
yeah,
that's for another time.
When guys, they complain about how much effort it is. I mean, it comes down to two things. Either it's so much effort to keep up the lie because they're trying to hide it from each girl, or it's so much effort to learn a new skill, which is how to be a different kind of man that can be more consistent, because you'll have more interactions and you'll see, when you start talking to multiple women, you'll change around each woman, which is a natural thing. You're trying to impress the other person, but that's what it is. You're trying, so that turns off the other girl whenever she sees you around the other girl, or she notices you're trying to impress her. Why? Because you see the woman as the prize. So it becomes this kind of like skeevy seducer man that goes around in the shadows and gets with girls when he can, because he's trying to exercise his freedom or whatever. He doesn't maybe have enough value, doesn't understand, or he's too young and doesn't see it. The tides haven't turned. The young girl is the prize. So the young man is still seeing the young girl as the prize, not to mention the brainwashing, right? But then as the tides,
I always think it's brainwashing, really, brother, because my dad was a man's man. He had multiple relationships. although he did do it sneaking around, right?
Yeah.
Which, you know, you can have a different opinion about that, but in my opinion, ethically, it's incorrect. It's unethical to do that. But now that I understand that is perfectly fine and it's within our nature, and he's living proof of that,
AZD
then I
is like,
can,
yeah. So
yeah,
what's the
not
difference
only
between like
AZD,
AZD and your dad? Like, what have you seen as a difference or
well,
similarity?
the ethics has to be the difference here, because AZD says, you know, this is who I am naturally. I can explain to you scientifically why that is, but and I'm going to be ethical about it in the sense that I'm going to be completely honest with you. And if I promise you XYZ, I'm going to keep my word. I'm a man of my word.
Man of your word.
As versus my father that said, you know what, I'm going to do what I'm going to do because I'm a man and I don't know why I want this, but I'm just going to have what I want. And I will lie, cheat, and steal to get what I want. And that's really the difference. And there's all kinds of men like that out there for sure.
Well,
And that's why I say
yeah, there are. I mean, that there are men. There are what I call alpha beta men.
exactly.
Right. And I'm wondering, like, you were married for so long, like what made you want to change? Like, what was the turning point for you?
So my turning point was when I saw myself expressing myself, and I realized, you know, there's a lot more that I have to give. I'm not expressing myself fully. I'm holding back, and I need to really exercise my true power, my inner power. And I don't know how I knew this, but I knew that being more manly was part of that. I just don't know how to explain it, but I just knew that I needed more manliness, more testosterone, whatever that is. And so when I remember growing up, I used to look up a lot to my dad. My dad was everything to me. And so, you know, meeting AZD was like, oh wow, you know, there's this whole new world out there that I can learn from, and it's exactly what I'm looking for: how to be a man, how to be ethical, and how to really just, you know, be myself. Because deep down, that's who I really am. So slowly but surely, just slowly developing that for sure. And well, now I rearranged my relationship. I am still married, but with that being said, I've been able to come clean.
Wow.
She knows that I want multiple relationships. She knows that I want multiple women, and she also knows that I am a man of my word. I'm sorry, and she knows that I'm going to keep my word and that I'm going to be next to her no matter what.
Which you
Whether
can already know
she's
that. You've been around for so many
yeah,
years and provided so well for her and your daughter with her.
exactly. So she knows that that's never going to be a problem. She will always be provided for. She will always be protected, no matter what. And that's what she understands and why I'm able to do what I do now. You know, she's on board 100%. You know, it's natural for her to have her doubts at times, you know, when there's a difference between an idea and actual reality.
Yeah.
And so she does kind of struggle there. When she does see me go out with other girls, or she knows about somebody else, she does have a little bit of problem or trouble with it, but
Yeah.
she's working through it and she's accepted it, and we continue to deal with it.
And it's us as guys, you know, we communicate a lot with our body language and tonality and how we talk about other people. The idea that we hold, which is she's the prize. So that when we communicate that, it creates anxiety in our woman, even though we may know deep down inside, after I get that pussy, I know that I'm the prize. But before you get the pussy, she's the prize. And so you chase that. You have this kind of energy about it a little bit, and she picks up on that and just like feels shitty about herself. And her reaction is to make you feel worse about it because she feels worse about it. She feels threatened. It's threatening. So how to not trigger that in her, that receptor. She, you know how like we have chemical receptors. She almost has like a pattern receptor. She's picking up a pattern of this is a man about to find something better. Perhaps he's communicating like, you know, so how to have that
And she picks
steadiness.
She picks up on that very well. She knows
Yes,
very
I've
well
heard.
when another female is serious about me. She can pick it up real well. There's no way I can hide that from her. I don't
Good.
know how she does it,
You should.
but
Yeah.
and I don't hide anything from her. I let her know, hey, this is what's going on. This is what it is, and you know, and she also knows that I'm not that I want. I always tell her this, you know, I'm committed to you, and no one's ever going to replace you. First and foremost, we've been together for 17 years, so no one's ever going to replace that. Um, and she knows that I want the best for her. So I'm never making decisions where it's going to harm her in any way, shape, or form. It might seem that way at the time, but at the end of the day, my priority is making sure she's taken care of.
I can hear you're getting this out. You're talking it out. It's connecting the dots for you. We got some other beasts on Clubhouse. What do you brothers have to say to Mr. Oracle, the Oracle of IMC Nation? Anything? Otherwise, I got stuff. And if you're there on Instagram, you guys can come to Zoom. I know you find this terribly interesting. Ramiro. No, nobody. Okay. So that's great, man. Hearing you express that. And I remember talking to you on the Zoom the other day about the tribal leaders and getting your streaming out there and your voice out there. And you have you employ so many women. You provide for so many women. You are a top provider. You have so many employees and so many of them are women. And wow, get your exchange, brother, because are they really as productive as their male counterpart? I hope so. I hope so. If not, then what is making up for that deficit? Is it the proximity to the vagina and the womb?
Honestly, man, it's just the rules, man. The rules that the government have set. You know, it's hard to operate the way we want to operate and then still follow the rules of HR law, employment laws, and all that stuff. I think the reason why they were set up that way is so that they work against us.
Yes,
because you know I can easily be sued for any stupid reason. So it's kind of tough to cross that line.
Well, you're going to be replacing brick by brick your architecture until you redesign it. And it's just daily vigilance, make your wake up time, do your beasting, do your care, do your meditation, and then do your job. And part of your job is expressing yourself, and new women help you express yourself in different ways because you're solving the chaos of the interaction with them. It refreshes you, it recharges you on a sperm level, on a mental level, and it's refreshing, you know.
And one thing that I've
cool. You got to be cool about it.
One thing that I've picked up on, man, is the fact that every single female out there is different. So when you're in a relationship, you build a relationship with a certain individual, right? A woman. Mm-hmm. And then you go to another one and it's a total different communication line. And then you realize, you know what? I'm a little weak over here. She exposes your weaknesses. Mm-hmm. At least that's been my experience. Different women have exposed different weaknesses in my being. Mm-hmm. And that's how I gauge where I'm at. So yeah, I get to see what I lack and what to improve on, and I work on that.
And you know what's so interesting is because old girl that you were with or has been so familiar with you, she either knew that was a weakness of yours and was okay with you being weak like that, or she was blind to that weakness also. She didn't have the pattern in her to recognize of strength, contrast to that weakness. So you end up resolving a problem before it happens, which is you're out with her and she sees another guy that's strong where you're weak. You get to strengthen on the thing before that problem happens. And you, in so doing, you strengthen the relationship with her because she's going off feelings. She's nervous about you leaving because she thinks you're going to feel something. So you're going to make a decision. No, that's what you do. I do make decisions on feelings, but I hold to my word more than you do. You don't know. That's why your feelings, you can't do that. You'll mix it up. I'm holding to myself. I'm more solid about it. But in the beginning, you're less solid about it. As you see the defiance of woman after woman, and you see the loyalty of women, if whoever show that, and you'll see defiance in their loyalty. This measure, it's not a left or right, blue or red, white or dark. It's everybody's somewhere in between. You're looking for that perfect, and it's just, it doesn't exist. Maybe it does. If it is, it's obviously so high value. I need to be the counterpoint high value for that. Right. So
Exactly.
that's what I'm doing. And I have that ability, and that's why risk is such a thing for the man, because you risk dying. If you survive, you come out higher value. So you gamble the odds like that. But it is an unintelligent, unless, you're playing the odds. Like, you think Diogenes is on right now. He's like, yeah, man, this is exactly what I think about. You apply leverage. So if you gain new understanding that other people, then what looks like a risky bet on that stock or Forex trade or whatever, you think is not risky because you know things they don't know. So when you know things they don't know, when you neg the girl, people think that's wrong, but you're leveraging something because you have an understanding. The understanding is she already thinks that you want to get with her because she thinks she's the prize. The reality underneath the concept that she's been taught is that you're not the prize. In the context, you're the prize, but you're not trying to live out your life in this context. Your life is going to be lived out of this context. But I get it. You have a social so now I got to play both at the same time. That's what I mean. You got to be cool in the moment, but also cool on the long-term aspect of it. Because when you tell them, the females, when you tell the females about the truth about men and women, you could still piss them off and be unattractive when you say the truth about it. And that's her only threat, really, is just to be turned off and leave you. So you balance that. Sometimes you want to offend her and you don't give a fuck if she's offended. Facts over feelings. But just not when you're driving.
For sure.
Just not when she's driving. So you have to be aware when she could wreck your life because she has some control right there. So first you get your balls back and then you can tell her the truth. So she actually doesn't want the truth if she doesn't want you to have your balls back. But why should she? The world around her is accepting the lie. It's not very painful for her to accept the lie until she's old, and you accumulate all of that unhappiness over unhappy years of an unhappy relationship because your man was unsatisfied. They don't see exactly. That. You can't do that measurement very well. Naturally. I don't know, maybe men don't either. I don't know. A lot of men are asleep. So we're just a unique breed. And we take the leverage and the advantage of, we have more awareness on the subject. So we use that against her. We're like, you're such a stupid head. You don't even know this. Meanwhile, you took like $5,000 to learn it. So, you didn't know it before you found it. But we like to do that because we've been beaten down by women all our life. So we like to be like, you dumb bitch. Why the fuck don't you know this? It's just reflex off of all of the abuse that women have done to us. And eventually, because that's why we like saying bitch so much, because we were suppressed on that so much, but for no good damn reason. All right. That's what
and to the outside world, man, I think they could easily say that everything's against us, all the social rules and all the social conditioning. But you and I know that that's not true, and we are actually at an advantage.
Tell me that. What is it? What is the advantage there?
We have the knowledge. We have the truth. The truth is what sets us free.
Yeah.
And our women are living proof of that. I mean, I think now we have plenty of brothers that are in multiple relationships, and it doesn't get any more real than that. But yeah, that actually works best.
That's true. It doesn't get any more real than that, unless we're going to measure things like skin conductance and heart rate and adrenaline and all sorts of things. Because there's definitely a happiness and a contentedness that comes, and a security that comes with a man. This is literally like root chakra healing, to come into security that, bitch, I can leave you anytime. And anytime I can't leave you, I'm beta to you. Anytime it pulls my strings, that's a beta line. That's a beta string. Because I'm the
and believe me when I say she's happier when you're a true alpha male. My girl has never been happier. She has never been as soft. She's always had to be real hard just to protect herself, even when we were together for many years. and she's just a whole complete different human being now, that she's allowed to be feminine, and that she's allowed to be herself, and that she
Mhm.
feels protected, and she senses the truth and the honesty and everything.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Man, that's so fulfilling. That's so great. I'm very happy to do what I'm doing, guys. It's great to be where I am and talking with all of you. Tuesdays, 5 p.m. Of course, subscribe, follow if you're catching the recording for this. And we're about at that time. Is there any burning things anybody has to say? Going once, going twice. And that's it. Thank you all for Behavior Code. If you liked it, share it. Show us again your presence next Tuesday. Invite a friend, and I'll see you next time. Os. Thank you, Oracle.